Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a dark comedy from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2019, directed by Quentin Dupieux, and this film is called Deerskin. So Deerskin is about a man named George. He's recently separated from his partner. He's got no money, he doesn't know what to do, so he travels cross country to the rural countryside of France, and he seeks residence in this rundown motel. Now no one visits this motel, so it's very quiet, and that's exactly what he needs in order to think of what he's going to do next. He tells the owners that his bank account has been frozen, but he's going to get the funds in a few days, and so they believe him and allow him to stay for the time being without paying. So he meets this woman there, and the woman is a very keen editor, and she immediately realizes that this man is carrying around a video camera and he's documenting his every move. And so the woman is curious. She asks George about this, and George tells her that he's a movie maker, and obviously it's a lie, but he just is so desperate that he wants to believe he's a movie maker, and so she wants to be this editor. So she says, okay, can I become part of the production? So he says, yes, you can. He's not quite sure what this film's going to be about, but he's just going to wing it, basically ad-lib, and what happens, happens. So then all of a sudden he has an idea for his film, and that idea comes in the form of a deerskin jacket. Now this deerskin jacket is something he's bought from an elderly man, and immediately he's captivated by this. He's wearing it around, he's parading it, he believes he's better than everyone else because he has the divine sense of fashion. So George becomes so intense with this jacket that the jacket starts to talk back to him. And the jacket tells George that the jacket wants to be the only jacket in existence, and that if George sees anyone else wearing any kind of jacket, he has to take it from them. And if they don't want to give up their jacket, he has to take it from them by force, even if it means lethal force. And so this is an idea that continues to evolve for a film, and so he documents his crimes firsthand, and George and this woman that is the editor pass a point of no return. What's in store for everyone involved is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Deerskin. I was really psyched to see this film. If you thought that synopsis was crazy, then that's exactly what Quentin Dupieux is. This is a director who has his own style, and that style is just pure insanity. He made a movie called Rubber, which is about a killer car tyre. He made another movie called Wrong, which is about a man trying to find his dog who decided to go on a journey, and another film called Wrong Cops, which is about cops doing very bad things and very weird things. So this is a director who is very rebellious in the way that he makes his films. He's very provocative. He doesn't make any apologies for it, and that's exactly what you would expect from a Frenchman. And so this is the first movie of his that I've seen that is actually in the French language, and so that was very exciting for me. And the fact that Jean Dujardin was playing the main character. Now he is actually an actor who's won an Academy Award, so there's a lot of prestige there. And so I thought, all right, well, you know, this director's obviously made a name for himself. So what was he going to produce in Deerskin? So I was hoping that he'd produce something that would meet my expectations. But unfortunately, after watching the film, that is the reason why I was so disappointed, is because it came nowhere near my expectations. Now, I'll go through the negatives a little bit later, and unfortunately there are more negatives than positives, but the biggest positive to this movie is the fact that Quentin Dupieux manages to create a mood that is very uncomfortable. This is a film that's very dreary, it's very deadpan, it's very lacking of personality, and that's something I love from Scandinavian cinema. This is what the Scandinavians do so well: create worlds that are very uncomfortable through the lack of emotion, through the lack of personality, through the lack of happiness. Is that nothing particularly scary is happening on the screen, but just the dreariness and lack of life in this whole world that Quentin Dupieux has managed to creates that sense that, all right, I'm not comfortable being here. And that's something that a world building does, and the world building from Quentin Dupieux is very impressive, because although the film does have those negatives and the positives can't really distract you from those negatives, you never feel bored because the world is always enticing you to watch more. And the fact that this whole story is insane was off-putting as well. So it almost felt like you're stuck in a purgatory world, that it wasn't quite reality, and you kind of feel like you're in the middle, is that you don't know whether you're going to heaven or hell. And this is exactly the atmosphere that it would be like when you're actually waiting to see where you'll go. So although this is a dark comedy, there is a subtle essence of horror to this movie that I just thought slowly creeps up on you. And by the time the movie just spirals down into insanity, I thought, okay, I watched a movie that I was supposed to laugh at that was billed as a dark comedy, but there was a subtle level of horror that I thought was really impressive. And so that almost unreal world that this director creates is by far the best part of this movie. But unfortunately, nothing really plays off this great world. Is that I thought John Dujardin's performance as George, it was very, very deadpan, but I thought it was wasted. And I thought this whole world that Quentin Dupieux created was wasted. It was because the script, it just wasn't that funny. It was very quirky, and I smiled once or twice, but I didn't laugh as much as his previous films. So I thought as though he reined it into a degree where I thought he was stuck in his own shell. And this is something that goes against what you would expect from Quentin Dupieux and what you would expect from a French director, is that this is a film that I can appreciate the level, the reminiscence of, Scandinavian film in that deadpan sort of quality, but the script just didn't match that deadpan quality. So you were stuck in a very uncomfortable world, but the uncomfortable world, it sets a very strong foundation, but that foundation is never capitalised upon. And so I thought the world deserved better characters. The world deserved a better story. Yes, the story is insane of this deerskin jacket talking to George, and I thought, okay, what the hell is going on here? And I thought, all right, well, the 76-minute runtime never allows any of the interesting aspects to fully blossom to a level where I thought as though it was inspired by anything. I thought it lacked inspiration, it lacked motivation to actually create a full-on insane picture of a man slowly descending into hell. And so yes, the George was an interesting enough character. He just split from his wife, his jacket is talking to him, and the fact that people being superficial, basically because I own a good jacket or because you own a good car, you think as though you're better than everybody else, but in fact that's compensating for an insecurity that you have. And I thought that was the interesting aspect of this main character, but it wasn't executed in a way where I thought as though it was rewarding. And so the movie does get pretty dark. It is very quite violent in areas, but there are areas that I thought looked very fake. I thought the editing could have been a little bit better. This movie could have actually had a main character played by anybody because it didn't require a great performance. So I just thought as though Quentin Dupieux, he does have a following. He's made a film. He's put a really big name actor in there to capture everyone's attention. He has a really insane story, but surprisingly, he just doesn't utilise that story to the full potential. I thought this had the room to be an absolutely balls to the wall, insane experience, which the idea is, and there are certain aspects of this film that are insane, but it's not as insane as I was expecting. He doesn't really push the button to the level that he has pushed the button in previous films. I thought as though the deadpan style of atmosphere can work into its favour, but the atmosphere also sums up the overall experience. It's dreary. It's basically no life to it. And that no life aspect, I came away thinking as though it was a very forgettable experience. And to have such an insane story and such a forgettable experience is ultimately a massive disappointment. So overall, for Deerskin, going to give this one 2 stars. Atmospherically, it was very intriguing, but ultimately the rest of the movie really lets it down. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you there.